Hey everyone, guess who's back? It's Kamish back here with another draft preview. And this time we're in Tier 2, American Division 2, getting featured in one day. Kamish under pressure a little bit with the Tier 1 preview starting July 1st. And each year I come out with an all new Kamish intro, or that hasn't been happening the last few years since I've had a co, but me and my new co are going back to that. People do find some of the intros hilarious. For you, Cody, I'm happy to have you here in Tier 2, and I hope you are enjoying this tiered format. And really, the crime for you so far has just been, okay, well, what happened last year, right? But, the bright side about last year is you did make it to the consolation finals. And obviously, that's going to make a difference in where you're drafting, and that's going to be huge, obviously. So let's get right into your preview here, and we'll just get rocking. Also, I will say the other thing I did appreciate about you, Cody, I put out the invite there for the optional to participate monetarily. You did it, so anyways, just shows commitment in my eyes, and obviously the league is much better if we have committed owners like yourself. Looking at your current keepers, this is where things get interesting, right? You do have CJ Stroud. Yeah, let's face it, young ascending quarterback there in Houston. Does have the receiver Nico Collins. This is where things get interesting on your keepers, though. I see you're keeping Tank Dell, which typically he would be the second option or second wide receiver in Houston. But he had that major injury, and I honestly think he's not coming back anytime soon. I was looking at the rest of your lineup. You do have a guy like the veteran Aaron Jones running the rock. I know he does face competition with Jordan Mason coming in, and it will take his snaps. There's no doubt about it. But Aaron Jones has always been somewhat productive, right? So, from my perspective, it's just something you got to think about in the tiered system or one where we have limited keepers like this. It's not a dynasty league, right? A guy can win year over year if he has a good set of keepers and is able to keep his draft picks year over year. Especially if you have the top of the position. But in this case, I think you just gotta always try to play in win now mode, and especially trying to get up to tier one. Tier one that sometimes you have to just sell to survive, right? So here I think you can take advantage of the 5 and 10 rule, which is you can trade 5 of your first 10 picks to just near the end to try to get way better, right? So that's an option. Looking at the rest of your keepers, Justin Jefferson, obviously I can't spell Vikings there, but clearly he's top three. We'll have to see how he responds with JJ McCarthy throwing the ball, though. We know nothing about this guy yet at the pro level. Kenneth Walker running the Barack. He faces competition with Zach Charbonnet, which might make sense to add Aaron Jones as another keeper, just to strengthen the running back room a little bit. Running backs, it's always thin in the draft. George Kittle, a tight end, Mr. Reliable there in San Francisco, just signed another contract, I believe. So expect big things. And then Roquan Smith, one of the best linebackers there is to hold at IDP. Looking at your draft pick scenario, you got the second pick, right? This is what it's all about. That's going to be the focus. It's interesting because obviously I called Ryan a bit of a, mindless there. Like, what are you doing? Not keeping Jane Daniels, Nico Collins. And just noticed today he put Nico Collins up for trade. So clearly he doesn't like Nico Collins. You could maybe go after a guy like Nico Collins and, trade a Ryan a draft pick. And all of a sudden you got the double dip going with Stroud and Nico Collins. There's lots of options there. But with the second pick, it's interesting because it's kind of like, and just, you didn't trade any picks. So you have all your picks. So no extra picks, no, obviously lower picks though in the later rounds. When we look at it, sleeper rankings said it would be Jaden Daniels, Nico Collins, or Janty, right? And we know, again, I put the poll out. Why isn't Daniels and Collins being kept right now on Orion's team? Van Isle, especially since a couple of the keepers are IDPs, aging veteran Bobby Wagner. I think eventually he does keep those people. So, I have probably none of these guys is going to be the likely first pick. So you'd have to look at who you think is the next best player available after these, two guys are probably going to be kept and Janty's going one, right? And who that person's going to be, I don't know, right? I mean, a lot has happened already in minicamp. And you have to be watching the developments on some of these rookies, especially. I think when you're picking this early in the draft, it's got to be a rookie unless there's some high quality player. Like if Jaden Daniels is still there, I mean, you got to go Jaden Daniels, right? Like it's just that simple. Potential storylines for you. I think if things go well, I mean, you could be division champ. Why not? You have second pick. You do have solid keepers. I think if you replace Tank Dell, it's just Tank Dell's giving you nothing this year. And are you thinking about the future? I don't think you should be thinking about the future. Maybe if it was a dynasty team, sure. But this year you just got to let him go. If things go bad. I see yourself missing the playoffs potentially. I don't see you dropping, though. I think you're active enough and too good of an owner and committed now to obviously make sure that you don't drop. And my commentary to you is just the 5 and 10 rule, as I mentioned earlier. And I'm going to mention it a fair amount to all your 2-2 owners that I think have potential in this league to succeed. Don't be afraid to try to go full buy to try to, get the extra push or the players you need at the deadline to try to get the tier one. That's the ultimate goal here, right? You got to get the tier one. So your tier two team, there should be really no commitment there or anything you should have to worry about. So, anyways, I hope you enjoy the format, Cody. I know I definitely enjoy you being in the format for sure. And obviously, tried to put a division there where you guys can have some rivalries. And I'm looking forward to seeing what American Division 2 can do this year in LOC Tier 2.